Herkese selam. Umarım her şey yolundadır. Bugün GuitarCenter'ın Austin mağazasının yeni şubesinin açılışına katılıyorum. GuitarCenter, Amerika'nın en büyük müzik aletleri satış zinciri. Tüm Amerika'da 200'den fazla mağazaları var. İsmi GuitarCenter ama bütün müzik aletleri var. Davuldan klavyeye. Benim bugün bu event'e geliş amacım canlı performanslar olacak. 2 favori gitaristim bu organizasyonda çalıyor. Birincisi Person. Bir diğer bugün sahne alacak önemli gitarist, büyük hayranı olduğum Revolver'ın gitaristi Dave Kushner. Bugün biraz dolu dolu bir içerik olacak. Canlı performanslar, fırsat olursa röportajlar. Hazırsanız rock and roll zamanı.
Hello, Türkiye, Zach Person here. I started playing music when I started singing pretty early on, but I was like a really shy kid, so guitar came a little bit more natural to me. I wasn't too afraid to play that and have somebody hear me. But I started from skateboarding. I was like super into skating as a kid, and bands would come out to the skate parks and just be bashing around playing loud electric guitars. And so I asked my mom for a guitar when I was 10, and it kind of took off from there. Early on, it was a lot of punk music and 70s rock. And then I went through kind of the blues phase, and honestly, I'm inspired by a lot of stuff. Some of my favorite players early on, when I was like 13, I was listening to people like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, and then there was like the newer era of rock and blues guitarists, people like Johnny Lang and Bonamassa, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, all those sort of guys that I absorbed too. And then getting into like my teenage years, that's when the Black Keys and people started getting popular. So I love all that sort of stuff as well. Jack White as well, yes. My main guitar right now is that 50s Gold Top Les Paul, but I still have the SG. I play every show. My very first concert that I saw was Return to Forever, and then the person that was opening for that was Dweezil Zappa, and he had an SG on stage, and I just remember the way it reflected in the light. It was, I thought it was really cool. So that shape kind of got burned into my brain. And so I've always kind of liked SGs, SG specials with P90s in it. I landed on the SG Customs that I have now just because I love the triple pickup and the white. It just, I don't know, it looked like a stage guitar. It looked like something that, needed to be in a show. I think a good song transcends genre. If it's a good country song and somebody doesn't like country music, they'll be singing it. If it's a heavy metal song and people don't really listen to heavy metal, but they hear that song and it's a good song, they're gonna like it. And then you can cover a really good song. You can cover in every sort of genre, and it should work. A good song can be covered by Dolly Parton, and then covered by Slipknot, and then covered by Rihanna, and it should be able to work.
Benim GuitarCenter'la ilk tanışmam 2017'de New York'taki mağazasına gittim ilk. Orada yine böyle bir akustik odada gitar çalıyordum, gitar deniyordum. Arkamda bir tane daha eleman gitar deniyordu böyle. Sonra eleman bir anda döndü. Şarkıyı böyle beraber çalmaya başladık. Her şeyi çalasım var. Barış Manço'nun ikonik gülpembe klavyesi. Deneyeyim bakayım çalmaya, çalabilecek miyim? For this interview.
Yeah, thanks for finding me.
You know, I'm feeling like in a dream because I'm a diehard Velvet Roller fan since Contraband album release. Here I had a huge tattoo of the album cover.
Yeah.
And let's start with the early days of the Velvet Roller.
They started with Duff, Slash, and Matt, and then there was Keith and Josh Todd from Buck Cherry. So that was kind of how the band started because they had played a benefit together. And then slowly they split from Josh and Keith. And I was playing in a band before that with Duff. And so Duff called me and said, you know, come down here. I want you to try out. And so I had known Slash since I was 13. Like we grew up together. We went to middle school and high school together. You know, I wasn't nervous. I just went in and I was already playing with Duff and played. And then I never left. And they said, you know, come back tomorrow. Okay, cool. Come back tomorrow. And for 10 months, we played 5 days a week, you know, looking for singers. So it took almost a year. And then we got Scott in the band, who I had known since 1990. Because our bands used to play together before STP. So I knew him longer than anyone else. And, you know, we were already friends and so it just felt good. And, you know, we started the band. You know, he came in he sang on one song. Mm-hmm. We gave him a demo and that song was Set Me Free. And it sounded exactly like the one on the record. And we were like, oh shit, this is the guy, you know? And you know, it was incredible. Like we had written during that first period, we wrote 60 songs while we were looking for singers. We just kept writing songs every day while we were looking because it was 10 months. Then we gave them all the songs.
So while you're recording 60 songs, how did you do rehearsals without vocal? Only just jamming?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just no vocals. And we recorded them on a live like ADAT or DAT machine or something. And we're just demos, and then we gave everything to Scott. Like, here's the 60 songs. Like, what do you think? And he picked some things out of it, and then he rearranged a couple things, and then he put vocals on them, and he sent them back. And the first 3 songs were Slither, Fall to Pieces, and Big Machine. You know, for me, it was like life-changing because I was trying to, you know, I was in other bands and, you know, you get a little farther and then you got to work. So like, you know, I had no money. I had $200 in the bank and, you know, then that happened and it was like changed my life. 3 months before I got involved with Revolver, I met my wife. And so, you know, my whole life changed. It's like I got married, I got in a band, I had money, everything was different. I went from living $200 in the bank, living in an apartment, you know, being single to getting married, you know, getting in that band and traveling the world and having money and, you know, it was crazy. So it was pretty, I mean, it was the best experience of my life, you know. 'Cause we're rolling on the river.
So you co-wrote the iconic song title for Sons of Anarchy
Yeah.
and This Life.
Yep.
Can you describe the difference in creative process between writing a cool riff for a band or TV series score? What is the difference?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's not a big difference. You know, I had never done anything for TV and film when I did Sons of Anarchy. My friend was the composer on Sons of Anarchy, Bob Thiel, and he had just gotten the job. They hadn't even started filming yet. And he said, oh, I got their show, and it's kind of like The Sopranos meets the Hells Angels and somewhere in between. And he was describing it to me, and he said, you know, if you want to write something together. And I said, okay. And I went to his apartment. You know, he explained it, and I said, oh, I have this riff. Because I had written the riff for Shooter Jennings, who's a friend of mine, and I had this idea to do a project with him. And I came over and I had that riff. You know, the and I just showed it to Bob, and he liked it, and we wrote the whole song that day. Next piece of advice I would say as a young musician is just play because you love it. You know, don't play because you're trying to make money at it. I think that the money, sometimes the thought of how to make money sometimes ruins the art of it. You know, that's been my experience. At times where I'm like, oh, if I write this song, then you might get on the radio, and oh, you get this and blah, blah, blah. And this seems to be the kind of style that everyone's doing. And, you know, and then I kind of went back to just writing songs for myself. You know?
Evet, dolu dolu bir bölüm oldu. Ben çok eğlendim. Umarım siz de izlerken eğlenmişsinizdir. Bir sonraki bölümde görüşmek üzere. Kendinize iyi bakın.